Welcome to the show! Trouble with Words, episode 150?
Let's say 150.
150?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 150. It's us, and we're in video, and we're doing a PAX episode.
It's the PAX episode.
It's the PAX episode, which everyone calls it.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim.
Look, it's Tim.
Hi, it's Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, Tim.
Good to be back.
Must be PAX.
It
Must be a PAX episode. Did I mention it's a PAX episode? This is a PAX episode, which is always obvious because you can see us in theory, and that is not something that happens normally.
Because we do one video a year, and this is that video.
Yeah.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Justin. It's nice to see you, because
I see what you did there.
Oh man. Anyway, let's talk about just all the stuff. We've got a lot to talk about. PAX is a crazy time of year, and there's more things to cover than we have time for. So
What's PAX, Josh?
No, come on. Every year we got to tell people what PAX is. Tim, you've earned the right. You have put the time in. You get to tell everyone what PAX is. You get to.
So, for anyone who has not been exposed to PAX is a 4-day gaming convention that happens in a couple of locations around the world, but we participate in the one that happens in Boston.
Because it's
Boston,
the best one. Yeah.
It's also
It's
the
the
closest.
closest.
It's the only one we can, really
Yeah.
make happen.
But it's 4 days of lots of tournaments and panels and video games and card and board games, and also an expo hall full of people showing off the games that they have made. Everything from the smallest indie with just a simple little laptop setup through to major publishers with
Giant
30-foot screens,
booths and like statues the
sculptures
size of buildings. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Massive convention center in downtown Boston. So yeah, it's up to 4 days now. It's been 4 days for I think 2 years.
Yeah.
We do 3 days of it because 4 days is a lot.
Because we're we're committed to the tradition of what was before,
Right.
in part. I think a little bit. We would come Thursday, prep for it, kind of like transition into Boston, and then we would PAX it up for the next 3 days. We just I don't know. I don't have the energy for 4 days. I literally don't think I could walk that much. I don't think I have it in me.
I'm going to emphasize the convention center is massive.
Massive.
It's the biggest one, I think,
Ever.
in Boston that's ever existed.
In the world.
Yeah. But it's a lot. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of moving from place to place, and just you're always walking or standing, just standing in line. A lot of lines.
Standing is way worse than
So
walking.
So much standing, and I'm not. I mean, I'm me.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, so we got a lot of games to talk about.
It's so painful, and it
Josh,
hurts my feet, and I'm standing. Yeah.
Okay, Josh. Tim.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so we like to tell you guys about the games that we saw.
Yeah, so we should start off. We talked about how there's major games and minor, or what we'd call, I guess, really more indie games and AAA games. So there are.
We looked at all the games.
We look at them all. We should talk about what major AAA games first, because that's a small part of what we cover, even though it's a big part of the physical space that gets taken up.
Yeah.
But what do we have to talk about when it comes to major video games this year? Guys, start us off. Either one of you, whoever's more ready.
I have none big games.
None big games.
None big
Whoa, nothing. Not a single big game. I mean, one huge thing that happened kind of was Borderlands 3 was announced this year, right at the time of PAX East. And I think it was even during a panel at PAX East, so it is tied to it. But they didn't have like a floor representation. They just showed a trailer. So there's not a lot to talk about there. As far as actual AAA games that showed up, yeah, I don't know that I have anything either. I don't know that there was anything. Like, even that other people were getting drawn to.
I mean, there was stuff like, Dead by Daylight had the new DLC, new characters.
Yeah,
and,
but like,
Days Gone.
Dead by Daylight, old game.
Yeah.
But yet, with there were a lot of older games with newer content they were advertising. That feels different to me. That was kind of a unique thing for this year. Games I don't play, even, so it was hard to get.
Yeah. Which is kind of an interesting question. Like, when you go to a show like that, are you expecting... Does everyone who shows there need to show you new things? Is everyone attending, going there for new things? Or is it okay to take the games that you've been showing at the convention for the last 3 or 4 years and just continue to show them as part of your offering?
Yeah, and that definitely happens at PAX,
Yep.
which is which can be cool because those games can be part of tournaments and you actually can be experienced at them before you show up.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I think this is the first year we've been going to PAX together as a group for 6 or 7 years running.
20 years.
Feels like 20.
Feels like 20.
I think this is the first PAX I've been to where I did not see Soda Drinker Pro featured on the floor.
Oh, no.
I didn't notice.
If it wasn't there...
The devs were running a panel.
Oh,
did
good.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see it on the floor.
That's a game that feels like I hope it never stops
It's
being
part of-
developed. I don't
part
want it
of
to ever
the-
come out. I want it to just be constantly...
Yeah, it's part of the PAX experience.
Yeah, I think of it that way. That's why I'm afraid if it actually comes out like fully, it won't be there anymore, and I don't want that.
One
That
thing
makes me sad.
that was new this year was the giant presence of VR in the form of Oculus and Facebook Gaming.
Yeah.
They had massive booths set up. They've had booths in the past, but these were like glassed-in private booths.
Yeah, little kind of I mean,
Bubble
booth is the
rooms,
best the best word. It
They
was
look
completely
They look like the rooms from Cabin in the Room.
Yes.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the
I was
Woods.
Cabin in the
thinking the same
Room.
thing as you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
When they showed
But instead of being filled with monsters, they were filled with
Monsters.
people doing VR.
They were filled with gamers who
You
were
know,
monsters.
People going like all scary, like
playing Dance Central and playing Beat Saber. And,
I still say it was a huge missed opportunity for Facebook gaming. I mean, who cares about Facebook gaming?
What is Facebook gaming? I don't even understand it.
It's like Twitch is how it was explained to me. But
yeah.
all
That's YouTube gaming, though.
Yeah, all their VR setups, none of them had monitors, so you couldn't see what the actual game looked like. It was just a person with a headset on in a room by
Yeah,
themselves.
that was a weird way to show off VR. So also made the whole experience creepy when you're just walking by those windows.
It's
Actually,
more showing off the people who are playing the game.
it seemed
the
like,
games. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
part of the reason I didn't do it. The other reason it was like 2 hours to wait in line. So
Yeah.
I didn't do any VR. Either you didn't try any
No.
VR, right? So
No,
that's no VR this year.
It was impossible to do VR without a wait of some kind,
Yeah.
multiple hour wait in most cases.
Yeah.
And time is so finite at PAX. Especially now, I feel like the
Yeah.
show floor gets bigger and bigger every year. It used to be we could do the entire show floor on Saturday, and then a couple of years ago we found we needed Saturday and Sunday. This year we did really nothing at PAX but the show floor all 3
Wow,
days.
it's true.
And
That's true.
we were still trucking right up until the last hour
Yeah.
trying to see everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Even taking it methodically, there were still aisles that I was discovering on Sunday today
Oh, man.
that I had not seen.
I'm convinced I missed things, and I don't want to hear that. I don't want. What did I miss? Hopefully, no big gems, or if I did, they'll be there next year. Which is actually, I think that's worth pointing out. So, a big part of the focus, aside from those AAA games, to kind of transition to the next subject, is the indie games, and there are so many of them being shown aisle after aisle. That's what we're doing. We're going game to game, literally talking to the developer, sitting down, playing their games. It's awesome. That's what makes PAX, one of the things that makes PAX so great. And why I recommend it is if you're a gamer and want to at all feel connected to the industry, that's the way to do it. It's a great kind of way to transition in, kind of see behind the scenes and just feel connected. But it's also just really cool because you can see a ton of new stuff. I mean, we're talking hundreds of games. I mean, it's crazy. And they all look amazing. We talked about this last year, and I'll come up in these games we talk about this year, but visually, games are like they're blowing my mind. Like every year, every game. Actually, I would say, is there even a game that comes out that you say that's ugly? Like, that's an ugly game. Maybe 1 or 2 out of hundreds. I rarely feel that way.
I mean, there are some.
Name one.
No.
And what was the developer? No, it's good.
I will not do that.
That's fair. Yeah. So, but I think it's rare.
But,
Can we agree it's rare?
No.
Oh.
But
More ugly than beautiful games?
I think I saw a number of games this year that I was like, what's going on here?
Huh.
What are you thinking? But the games that are beautiful are so beautiful
Maybe
that
that's
they're noteworthy.
okay.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that we don't want to trash somebody's game.
No. I don't want to talk about any specifics.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in a very general way, I was surprised by that. Well, let's talk about the ones that did stand out. The ones we loved, the games we really drew us into, I don't know, like, that we want to talk about, that we wanted to tell you about so you could play. And I think we picked 5 each. More or less.
Give or take.
Yeah. That sounds like somebody didn't do that, but
I
I'm
have
kidding.
5 plus a.
Oh, this is one for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, an honorable mention, as it were. Let's start with that game.
Start with that one?
I think we should start with that game. It's the odd one out. And I mean that in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting with a PC and mobile experience.
I like that mobile experience.
called Kids.
Kids.
It's a very interesting look. It's
Very.
a kind of a hand-drawn, lot of kind of faceless people, figures on the screen, and no real instruction or goal as to what you're supposed to be doing.
It's like a collection of mini games, all with this same sort of motif. There's all this similar look of those characters.
Of kids, I guess. People.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
In crowds.
In crowds. Sometimes
just black and white.
Sometimes just one. Sometimes a small handful. Sometimes a massive crowd. And it's all just kind of clicking or poking them to see what you need to do. And ultimately, I got to a point where I didn't know what to do. There was nothing else for me to do. There was nothing to interact with on the screen. So I got up and walked away.
Which I assume means you won.
I won.
That's been my interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Let's call it a beta that they were, or a good demo rather. I'm sorry, that they were showing at PAX, and you won it. You beat it. Yeah, I did not.
I beat kids.
You beat kids. Wait, don't say that.
Oh.
So, Tim, what's a game that stood out to you?
There's a game called Spring and Flow. It's by a developer that I met previously on Train Jam, but it's a puzzle game. It's a series of hex columns that are different levels on the screen, and you have a pool of water and a flower that needs to be greenified, and it's about like raising and lowering the columns to let the water flow to the flower and create greenery. And each puzzle is about how that water flows, like how you can make the water flow to irrigate flowers and other greenery, kind of spread greenery to the flower.
I watched you play it for a little while.
It's really pretty. The base interaction is really simple. The presentation is really clean. It's a nice game.
It looked really pleasant.
It is. It's really pleasant.
Pleasant, yeah. I agree.
I would look forward to going through kind of all the logic puzzles, thinking about how the water is going to flow and how you need to craft, how you need to take your actions.
I really liked, and this is such a minor thing, but I really liked the transition from one level to another level.
Oh, yeah.
It just felt really snappy.
Yeah, it was just a swipe up, but like everything kind of like scrolls from one to the other. And
like it's like really levels on a mountain. It just scrolls
really
to the next.
Smooth. Yeah, it's really nice.
Which I also really liked. The water effect really stood out to me specifically because it is all kind of grid based, but it still captured that feeling of being kind of free flowing, even though it wasn't, in a really cool way. I really like that.
Works really well. So that was Spring and Flow, and that's coming to iOS, Android, and Steam. It's not quite out just yet, but soon.
Awesome.
What do you got?
Me? All right. So, a lot of these, like I said, they really stood out to me because of visual reasons. I didn't get to actually play this game. I waited in line for a while, but it was popular, and so I didn't get a chance. But it's a game called Sojourn, which is a puzzle game, I think, similar to kind of Myst. Those games, it's a first-person game, although it's real time, so you have complete free movement, meaning it's not like grid-based. And you walk around this really interesting-looking world, just with really captivating graphics, kind of a very strong color to everything, but in a way that felt like really good HDR, kind of. Everything was just really, really popped. And with dark shadows and things like that. But the texture work, again, the way that rocks looked was like this combination. It was somewhere between a cartoon and real life that I hadn't ever seen anyone quite do before, I feel like. That just really was appealing to me visually. And I don't love puzzle games. I mean, I like puzzles in games from time to time. I don't like a game that's just puzzles. That's what this is. But I was captivated the whole time watching people in front of me play, that I think this might be one of those exceptions where even though it's not action or anything like that, there's no intense moments, you kind of jump between a dark world version of another world, and you use that jumping between those two realities to solve things. And it just looked like a lot of fun. But the biggest thing to mention is the sound effects are they're incredible. I didn't get to play it, but there was one person who didn't want the headset, and so the developer had me put the headset on while they played, because they were really impressed with their sounds, and I was like, I don't know, like whatever. But it like really did impress me. Like it felt like, I don't know how to describe it other than it was just more real. Like the sound effects felt more real than any video game I've ever played before.
Huh.
Wow. Yeah, like it was really happening. Like these weren't sound effects added. Like I felt like the things were making the sounds. I don't know. It was crazy. I'd love to know what they did to make that happen, but it felt like next level.
That's cool.
Yeah, like if they use high def sounds, like that's what that was. Yeah. So again, that is Sojourn. Very good.
Oh, me.
Yeah. Well,
I'll talk about this one.
The three of us.
Yeah. I sat down and played this one, and in fact, I feel like it's a real measure of how much I'm enjoying a game when I have to be reminded by my companions that I've been sitting at a game for too long and we need to move on. And this was one that I would have kept playing. It's called 3 Minutes to Midnight by Scarecrow Studio. And it's a pretty classic 2D point-and-click adventure game. And I'm not sure what the story of the game is. They said the demo they had at the show kind of jumped you ahead into the second chapter.
Okay.
But you were a young woman at like a kind of a creepy summer camp.
Yeah.
And the portion of the game that I played involved constructing a citronella candle out of art elements around the world to scare some mosquitoes away to allow you into another part of the level.
That's just creative problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the interactions with the elements of the world felt really nice. There's some dialogue with another character that...
Is there only dialogue with one other character in the demo, or because I only played it for a little bit, so I'm wondering if it's who I talked to.
It was possible to have a brief conversation with a raccoon, which was very funny. But I really liked it. I liked how everything felt. It's a beautiful game. The puzzles felt good.
Nice.
The two or three that I encountered during the demo. I'll definitely check that out when it comes out. So that's 3 Minutes to Midnight.
Nice.
Cool. I wanted to talk about Boyfriend Dungeon. This is a game that I found out about last year at last PAX, but it wasn't available for demo or anything. They're further along this year. It's by Kitfox Games. And Boyfriend Dungeon is a game that is one part dating simulator and one part dungeon crawler. But the twist is that you date your weapons. So the swords and things transform into beautiful men and occasionally women, and you can go through kind of like dating simulator stuff with them, where you have like dialogue choices to develop romance. But then you can go dungeon crawling, and they become your sword. They become your weapon, and you can hack and slash at enemies. And occasionally, while you're hacking and slashing, you'll get to a spot where you're in a mall and there's a little ice cream shop, and you can visit the ice cream shop, and the weapon transforms back into the dude, and you can have a little bit of romance.
And then
go back to slashing again.
Yeah.
So it's this really cute idea, and the hack and slash is way more polished than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that was my feeling too.
Yeah, it felt really solid.
Anytime a game's doing more than one thing like that, it feels like they'll sacrifice something that it didn't.
And I also really liked the writing in the dating sim part. Like it seemed like it was really clever, and the characters felt like characters. So.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this game before. This isn't even the first PAX episode it's been on.
Yeah. But now it's far enough along that they had a playable demo, and it's got a ways to go, I think. But I guess you can wishlist it now. That's
nice.
Boyfriend Dungeon by Kitfox Games.
Yeah, nice. All right. Actually, the next one I want to talk about is difficult to talk about, but I'm going to try. And that's not my fault. That's the developer's fault. But I hopefully have some footage I can show you. Short of it is, this is a game that I believe was developed as a possible university project. I'm not sure. It became kind of a rumor of sorts. People talk about it without knowing a lot of information about it. And it's vague. So this game was back. It showed up at PAX. And it has no title. It's an untitled game, which makes it difficult to talk about in some ways. But you've probably heard of it if you've seen any footage of new up-and-coming projects in the last 3 to 4 years. What it is it's a first-person game sort of in the vein of something like Portal, and it's a puzzle-solving kind of approach. But the kind of hook or the mechanic is that you can move, and it's also a little hard to explain, so forgive me, but you can move, as you move closer to objects, they appear bigger to you, as they do in real life, and as you move farther away, they are smaller. If you pick up an object when you're close to it, and you can just lift it up, it will maintain its size from almost like you had changed the size of it instantly from picking it up. Sort of that way that optical illusions can fool you. If you have a picture of two people standing next to each other, one's close to you, one's farther away, the farther away person can look like a little person next to the big person. This is like that if you could then actually have that perspective change become a permanent change of something's physical properties. So, for example, and this is a really famous this is famous imagery from the game as people were playing it earlier on, is there's a scene or a part where you have a chess piece, and it's the size of a chess piece. But as you get closer and closer to it, if you pick it up and then drop it, you've made that chess piece bigger. By the end of doing that, you could actually end up with a chess piece the size of a car, and then you can use that as a way to solve the puzzle of, let's say, getting up to the next ledge. You can jump on that now giant chess piece to jump to the next ledge. It's all about changing perspective and then picking up items. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully you're seeing some of that on screen. Either way, it doesn't have a title, and the booth literally described the entire game with like a paragraph that just talked about that description of that chess piece and how it was a cool idea and whatever happened to that game. Well, it's back. That was sort of the setup. It was very funny. It's actually a really interesting game. The new demo was made just for this PAX. Had a lot of inside jokes and things, which kind of reminds me of like the Stanley Parable and other games that have done that, where they've made specific demos for events. And you even go behind the scenes in a few different parts where you like open up the wall and see what's behind things. And the demo even ends. It says, "Thank you for playing the demo," but that's not the end. Like there's more to do if you choose to like get out of that room, and then it keeps going and does some fun things. So looks like he's got a great sense of humor, really cool concept. I'm expecting great things from this, and I hope that he can come up with a cool name. But I guess it's a work in progress as far as the name goes. Huh. Yeah.
They had really cool cards as well. They're these clear plastic things that you can look through.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
They didn't have any of them when oh yeah, that's cool. He was out of cards when I talked to him. But yeah, that's a really cool card. And since I was going to talk about this, I'm going to steal that. Yeah, very cool game. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be like a huge one.
Pillow Castle Games.
Yeah, I guess since I don't have the name of the game, that's at least helpful to know.
I feel like the first time we saw it, they did have a name for it. Is that not true?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it ever had a name. He said he never did when I talked to him today.
Weird.
Yeah. And there's another game called Scale, which is why I don't think you can do that.
No, it's not.
Which I'm also excited about.
I thought it was called Perspective.
Oh, that's a good name. You should tell him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's watching.
My next game is Canarium. I'm not sure. It is a kind of a first-person explorer game. The portion of the game that I played was I sat down at the game in progress. Somebody else had gotten up and walked away, and I was just kind of outside at night in the middle of a blizzard with a flashlight and just wandering around. And I made my way into like a shed where there was a sort of puzzle to gas up a generator and get the power going, which led me to another building where I started getting some clues about things that were going on. And it looks like it's kind of a directly related to the Lovecraft story about the Mountains of Madness.
Wow.
And there were a couple things that happened that were kind of creepy. I don't want to spoil anything, but
I'm surprised you would play a game like that. Sounds like you didn't know what you were getting into though when you
yeah,
sat down.
that's true.
Was it just an empty seat and that's what hooked you in? But then once you started,
Yeah, 100%.
Love it.
Especially late in the day, walking the floor. Me specifically, if I see an empty seat, I will sit down and play that game because my feet hurt.
So developers have empty seats because you never know. Yeah.
But I'm glad I did because this was really cool. I thought the blizzard effects were really well done. I feel like we've seen a lot of snow-related games at PAX over the years, and it's an effect that can be done not so well, and so when it's executed exceptionally, it's noticeable.
And I agree that looked really good.
It looked really good,
especially.
and that's one maybe I'll check out, even if it is a scary game.
We should play the VR version.
Oh, I don't know about that. So that is Canarium or Canarium. I'm not sure.
Yeah, nice.
So Nanotale Typing Chronicles is a cool typing game. This is the second game by a studio who previously did a game called Epistory Typing Chronicles. And Epistory was a kind of this sprawling adventure. It takes place, it's like a kind of like a third-person brawler, like a Diablo kind of a game. Cool, like bright, imaginative art, 3D artwork and stuff. And you can always switch. You get into battles where you'll have enemies advancing on you, and each enemy will have a word over it, and you type the word to standard typing game fare. But it also made good use.
Standard implies it's not. I mean, it's so good though. It's like the best typing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
video game wise,
it's done really well.
Yeah.
And it, in contrast to things like Typing of the Dead, which
right?
is like
for
a
example,
person, typing game where things are advancing at you and have words over their head.
Or stereotyping with typing with Mario.
Right.
That's a really
Is he stereotyping with Mario?
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you still
bit of joke.
stereotyping
Yeah.
Okay. So Epistory was pretty straightforward, but had a lot more in it than I thought it was going to, based on the demo and trailer and things. It actually had like several worlds that were very different artistically and unique among games. Nanotale iterates on that, so it's again kind of a fantasy setting where you're navigating third person through terrain and encountering enemies and things. But they've added like modifier spells for your attacks. So when you're ready to mount an attack, it's got this little like special bar of spells that you can add to your attack. You can type like hot and then the word for the enemy, and it'll hit them with a flame blast.
Interesting.
Or ice, and that'll maybe encase them in ice, or if you use it on a plant that's in a wet spot, it'll create ice that you can walk on.
So good.
Yeah. So it's got all these modifier spells on top of the original gameplay. So I'm interested to see where that goes. That was the very last thing that I demoed at PAX, and I actually ran out the clock. We got to the point where it was interrupted because they had to pack up. I'm looking forward to that. Epistory was really good, and I expect that Nanotale will follow in that.
Can I just add, and I hope you'll give me this, but that was a beautiful game, right? I thought that was stunning.
Yeah.
The landscapes were like, it all looked hand drawn.
Just really nice.
I'm so jealous that like that exists now for people to learn typing on. I know we talked about these old games, but like, man.
Yeah, I wonder if you could learn typing from it. Like,
at least get better at it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
to some
I
extent.
think so.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really have a progression the way you would expect something that teaches typing.
I guess you're retyping a lot of the same things.
Yeah, they actually use like word variety and word difficulty to ratchet up the difficulty of an encounter.
Man, that's so good.
Yeah, like against harder enemies, you'll have like longer, weirder words that may not be already loaded in your muscle memory.
So even like how it helps you in more ways than just typing.
Yeah.
It's making you a smarter, better person.
Yeah.
And you're saving the world in some sort of fantasy setting.
And they're often related to the enemies you're fighting.
Yeah,
not always, because they need to varietize the words, change them up. But
I love that. I love that.
So that is Nanotale. It's got this cool little booklet with
some
hand-drawn stuff in it about
cool.
the different enemies and plants. But yeah, Nanotale.
Cool. Another one I want to talk about, I guess one of the last three that I've left, is a game called Tech Support, which is interesting. So there's kind of a genre that's developed, and I feel like
it's the full title of the game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Full title of the game is Tech Support Error Unknown. There you go. You're right. That's an important thing to say. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Easier to Google.
Tech Support the game is a very different implication. So this is, I would say, a new kind of genre that's been developing of simulating using a computer. There's lots of games. Well, I don't know if that's a genre, but it's a gameplay type, and it's been popping up a lot. PAX especially. I see a lot of indie games that do this, where they fully simulate a ton of different things, from having a desktop, basically opening programs, moving windows around, reading emails, that kind of thing. This is one of those games, and it's also specifically with the idea that you work in a tech support company. You're actually getting tickets, and you're finishing those tickets, which are customers that have issues, and you're having chats with them where you use kind of predetermined answers kind of to respond, but you have to get a little creative in how you do that. And specifically the way that comes up is more story starts to open itself as you're playing. You get contacted by a person that's reaching out to you personally because of something. Somebody else, like a hacker, kind of reaches out to you separately. There's stuff going on outside of just the normal tech support job, which is also in and of itself actually kind of interesting. And it's a demo, so I didn't get to see too much of it, but it pulled me in, and I'm interested in what more of that story is. And they did that, simulating kind of running Windows and using these programs, I thought, very well, because it isn't always necessarily done perfectly, and this was. In the end, I felt like I was doing that job. That's, I guess, what.
Did you get paid?
No. So, hey, you know what? Interesting. They owe me money, I think. That's how that works. I recommend it, though. Tech support, error unknown. Very cool. Check it out.
I want to talk briefly about photographs. From a developer who's put out some games I've played before. You need to build a boat, or you must build a boat.
You must.
I think there was a sequel to that called You Must Build a Boat 2, maybe?
Oh, really?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, that turned down. That may be loud. That's okay.
That's okay. It just adds to the overall atmosphere. Often when we talk about these new sounds, you can't hear them later. So
it's PAX where anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, the demo that I played at PAX. I don't want to talk about the story so much as the gameplay itself is sort of a puzzly game with some story elements around it.
I think you can say the story is. You can say this much, that it's like 5 mini stories, 5 that are unrelated.
So there's some like each chapter, I guess.
Yeah.
Is an unrelated mini story, kind of told through Polaroids photographs.
Yeah.
Really pretty pixel art.
Yeah, really wonderful art. The story was well written and well told.
Yeah. You played a whole. I played with 2 the same time you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think each of us might have played a different story.
Well,
I didn't play with you.
You watched me play.
I co-piloted or whatever. I watched you play. Yeah.
It was really nice.
I was so immersed. My memory was I was playing. That's crazy. That's a good sign.
So I'm definitely looking forward to playing it when it comes out. So
also, Tim mentioned this, and I didn't know that, but one thing that's cool is these 5 different, short stories essentially, but they also have a puzzle element to it. So a lot of the gameplay is a puzzle. You're doing. The story you chose that you played through was one puzzle type. Every story is a whole different type of puzzle.
Oh, really?
That's coming up.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that means gives the game more depth than I thought. It looks really interesting in that way. Also, those puzzles are pretty hard, and I just want to give you credit where it was due. You were nailing it. Even the guy that was there was like, "That's one of the hardest." Oh, he's done. It was pretty cool. Yeah. So well done.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you for saying so. Thank you for saying so where everyone can hear it.
And in my opinion, we did it together because I remember I did it. So credit to both of us.
No.
That's photographs. Graphs. I can't remember.
So I wanted to talk about Alt Frequencies. This is a game in development by Accidental Queens, who did A Lost Phone and Another Lost Phone, which are both great mobile titles. They might be available on desktop as well. Those games are about finding a phone. It pretends that it's a phone, and you learn about somebody's life through it.
We've talked about that game before.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So they've got a new game in development called Alt Frequencies, which is really cool. I got to demo it today, and I've been anticipating it for a while. This is a game where you are stuck in a time loop, the demo that I got was a mobile demo. I think again it's going to be mobile and Steam, but it's audio focused. You're listening to a series of radio stations that are all playing at the same time, and you can switch between them. You can listen to like what topic they're talking about. It's often talk radio. And the mechanic.
And just to be clear, at the same time just means that it's like real world. Everything's happening in real time.
Right. There are like 5 stations. They've all got their own timeline. If you
it's not like overlapping.
If you switch like a minute and a half through the time loop, if you switch to a given station, it's always going to be in the same place.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing. And the mechanic you have for interacting with it is you can sort of record a bit from one station, and you can transmit it like a caller, like a call in to another station. So you're sort of sampling what you want to say from one place and playing it back in another, and it may or may not have context with it. It might be a simple like, sometimes you got to lie about stuff, that kind of thing, and it might have been taken from one conversation, but you're injecting it into a whole different conversation. And you're trying to sort of like break out of this time loop ultimately.
Oh, that's crazy.
It
seems so hard to, develop. I don't know much about it, but like the game has to be able to interpret. Yeah. Which is open to interpretation already to some extent because you're using someone else's words to say something else.
I was talking with the developer about some of the challenges, and it really did sound like it's a challenging game to build.
Yeah.
To make it clear to the player like what you're supposed to do, and then give them enough leeway to do it without being unforgiving. It's complicated to do, but I think there's something like 3 to 5 chapters, and the demo that they were doing today was only a portion of that. It was like the first challenge or something, or the second challenge, I forget. But it played really well. Like it was really satisfying when you could pull something from one station, put it into another, and that changed it, and then immediately take something from that and like put it into another station and see the effects. You could sort of feel like this combo going on. And it might take you a couple of loops to listen through at each of the stations, get a feel for them.
I just realized how you describing that part of it, I didn't realize how complicated it can get.
Yeah.
Because you can even, you said you're using other audio as a call-in to a separate thing. That means your audio affected that loop.
Yeah.
So that makes new audio, which is new audio you can record to affect other stations to further affect that loop.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So All Frequencies, I believe, is coming out in May. Keep an eye on it. That's by Accidental Queens.
Very cool.
And their other games are great too. Just check them out.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm gonna talk about this one. I have my turn. So there's this game called Anew, The Distant Light, and I think it's best described as a kind of Metroidvania open world game. It's the best description I can give it. It's huge worlds. It's side scrolling and very sci-fi themed. There's also a kind of a neat hook that there's a lot of vehicles in this game. So everything from buggies to giant mechs to just different things you can get around the world. But it's one of those things that felt like, as I'm playing the demo, I kept thinking, man, if they had an idea, they did it. Like, it just feels like one of those games. and none of those ideas, that from what I could tell, like, they made them work. They didn't just throw a bunch of stuff on a pile. I mean, they found a way to fit it in. Because it was just constantly adding new stuff. You pick up a gun, you pick up a jetpack, you pick up a motor vehicle. Like it's just all of this. You're underwater at one point. I'm sliding down ice. This is all like in a slice of the game moment from this demo that felt huge. And the way they advertised it was that it was very, very big. So it could be like that ultimate game of exploring things, finding limitations, getting new items, coming back, being able to re-explore those. Huge setting, really good gameplay though. It was very, very smooth. The graphics were great. Just really impressed by it. It's just one of those examples of doing something like, just, you're like, okay, this exists. I want to do my version of it. I'm just going to go all out. I'm just going to do everything I've ever wanted. It's like a dream game. This is someone's dream game. They made it. That's what it feels like.
That's awesome.
Just felt that way. Yeah. So that is Anew, The Distant Light. Very good.
All right. I've got Hamsterdam, Paws of Justice.
Yeah, you do.
which is a hardcore brawler for your handheld devices.
I knew it was hardcore just from the name.
Yeah. It is a game about a hamster who is a martial arts master.
Yeah.
Like
Jean-Claude Van Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yep.
Yeah. That's really funny.
That just happened.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about this, trying to kind of figure out how to talk about it, and it's like the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games, like the fighting style. There's a lot of kind of reacting to what the enemies are about to do and countering them, and then kind of attacking in a rhythm. It's not. I wouldn't call it a rhythm game.
No,
but
but you can find a rhythm that makes you better at it. That's just about like
hitting the perfect attacks.
Yeah.
But it just felt really sharp. It felt really, the controls felt really good. I played it with a controller. You played it on a phone, on a mobile device.
I played the mobile version. And wait, so would you say it was actually coming out on? Is it on consoles or no? Is it?
It says Nintendo Switch. Steam,
okay, so yeah, console,
Vita,
Switch,
Google Play.
So I don't know what it's like with a controller. I can only imagine it with a phone. Like I honestly can't imagine how it would work with a controller. So I should have tried both to know. But I really, really liked it. It felt exactly like you said. That's a great description. It's like the Arkham Knight games if
it was super adorable hamster.
And like if you boiled it down to what made that great without the complications of all the things like free movement and open world and whatever.
Yeah. So it's more like, at least in the demo they had here, and I assume that's the way it is in the full game, it's like encounters, like you've got a world map like Super Mario World.
Yeah, great example. You move from like thing to thing.
Yeah, and each one of those is one kind of battle.
Yeah.
With a series of enemies that you have to face.
And they get harder and harder as you go.
Yeah.
New enemy types with like different attacks that you have to counter different ways, or more of them, or whatever.
And I only played the first 5 or 6 encounters, and they all felt really good, and I'm excited to play more of it. I don't know if it's out now. I think it is. There's no release date on here, so
soon, if anything. Bare minimum.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed that game. Yeah, it was really good.
So that's Hamsterdam, Paws of Justice.
And the name.
Ooh,
that was
I got distance on that one.
Wall in the back, nice.
Good. There was a game called Joggernauts on display this time out. And these are the developers I've known for a while. I've seen them at other shows. They put together, it's a couch co-op endless runner, sort of. Where your mechanic, it's a one-button game for multiple players, and you have a series of joggers of different colors who need to pass through barriers or cross platforms that match their color. And the only control you have is that they're running in a line, and you have a button that can move your runner to the front of the line. So there might be like a pink wall, and if you're the pink runner, you've got to make sure you're in front to hit that wall and clear it for the other players. Any other color will hit it and like die, or
which messes everyone up. So whoever's in the front is the one. Yeah.
You
also you technically, I just want to interject. You technically have 2 buttons. You have a jump and a switch.
Oh, there's a jump, right? Yes. Yeah. So you have a jump and a switch, and the jump is cool because if you'll kind of inherit the speed and position of the person who's in front when you switch to the front, so you can do some cool things like start a jump while somebody else is mid jump, and then switch to the front, and you'll get extra height.
And experiment with that at all. That's interesting.
But it gets really frantic when you're trying to read the upcoming colors to know like when you need to swap to the front.
Yeah,
and because the timing's pretty tight, and
it is.
Things are coming fast.
Yeah.
We only played for a couple of minutes. We played a 3-player game, and there were a couple of sections where the timing, there were like switches that had to happen in a chain like pretty quickly, and sometimes we were doing it, sometimes we were not.
Yeah,
that's the whole game.
That's the game, though. Yeah,
I guess you would get better at it.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I guess you'd get better the more you did it.
It was really fun, and it looked really great. It has a really nice aesthetic.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's been getting some recognition. Just won an award at South by Southwest, and the developers got to be on a panel about couch co-op and the future of couch co-op that we went to see.
Yeah, the only panel I saw in all of PAX this year.
Me too.
It was good.
Had those developers of Johann Sebastian Joust, and also Kid Fox Boyfriend Dungeon, about a previous game that they had done.
Well, 2 of the games made our list.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. So
I wanted to check out that game by Kid Fox too. Do you remember what it was called?
Yeah, I wanted to too, but yeah.
Oh, the previous one.
Yeah.
There was a.
I thought it was Moon Hunters.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't check it out, so I don't know anything about it. But
yeah, they didn't have it on display.
no,
Yeah,
I wish there was more.
No, I mean, I want to check it out after.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a side conversation. I'll do with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a cool game to play with a few friends, and that has a little bit of action to it and a lot of interaction with the other players,
And you want to end those friendships.
Juggernauts.
I was kidding.
Played Juggernauts.
Yeah.
That's by Space Mace Games, and you can find them online. It's for both Steam and Switch. They released on Switch.
Yeah, and that's what we played on with Switch.
Yeah.
Which I will say, just a side note, but this is really this I guess con was the first time I've used the Switch controllers much.
Yeah, me too.
And I found them to be challenging at times.
Yeah.
That must be also something you get used to.
They're very small.
They're very small. They also have some interference issues. I had to get really close to it to make it better.
Oh yeah.
But that's also because it's a convention, so I don't know if that's true. But I'm just sharing some new experiences with the Switch that was new to me.
They are difficult to use as a single Joy-Con as a full controller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They have the Switch sells controllers that are big full ones.
Right.
Some people have those. For
I think when
games.
they're mounted on the screen itself, I think it's probably fine. It's just
I
when
think
you're
so,
trying to use a single one as a joystick and 4 face buttons.
Which is what you do a lot in that game if you're playing couch co-op, though. That's to be fair, but yeah. All right, I'm next. Is that right? Yeah, I'm just jumping in the front of the line. Man, I wish I could have jumped in the front of more lines. This is a game called Feral Frontier, and I feel like it's a bit of a gem, and I feel like no one knows about this. It was hidden away. It was in the back. There was this dark hallway I went down, and there was this water leaking, and I had to open a door with a secret lock. Anyway, I found this, which is a platforming game. You play as, I assume to be a fox. I think it's a fox. That sounds right.
Sure.
And it just has really, really good controls. Some of the best platforming controls I have experienced in a very long time. And it's actually probably a year out from being released. The person I spoke with said it will be coming out on PC, I think exclusively, which stinks because that's not what I would play on. Maybe that'll change down the road. But it's like the Mega Man X games, but just tighter.
I like that, the Mega Man skateboarding and the Mega Man rollerblading and the Mega
X
Man
games.
X games.
Mega Man X games, you know. Yeah.
X games for Mega Man.
It's just there's a lot of like sliding on the wall, dashing, things that feel really good to do. This is filled with that. I don't know anything about the story. I don't know anything about the specifics, aside that it looked really good, it had some good pixel art, but I just loved the way the game felt to play, and I feel like it needs to be brought up just for that. Yeah. But on the same note, and just sort of as a bonus, I guess you could say, I did want to talk about, there's a new Super Meat Boy Forever, that was being shown at the game, on the game floor. I really, really love Super Meat Boy. It's a very challenging game. One of my favorites. Also, I thought had superb controls. But I was so disappointed to find out that this game was an infinite runner. I didn't, an endless runner. I didn't know that. Even watching people play it, I didn't know that. So while I was disappointed, I also do just want to say, congrats on making a game that's an infinite runner that even watching people play, I couldn't tell that, which is it just seems impressive. So maybe it was a game I will explore later down the road. I do love that franchise. And
maybe I don't know what an infinite runner is, because that game did not look like an infinite.
An infinite runner just means your character is always running forward and you can't stop it.
I mean, I watched them
a
do
boss battle.
I know, and I'm telling you, I played it. Yeah. It's an infinite runner.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's impressive that they made it look that way. That's all I'm saying.
For that thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
My last game is a game called Dicey Dungeons, which is sort of like a dungeon crawler dice game. You start out with a limited number of powers and abilities and very few dice, and you go and have a battle where you roll dice to trigger abilities. And as you progress, you unlock more abilities and more dice, and it just felt really good. The controls, were basically just click, It was
to roll a die and then choose which die you want. And
mouse-driven games. PC, Mac, and Linux comes out this spring.
Yeah.
But the animations were sharp. Everything just felt really nice to play. The characters were nice to look at.
it had a really crisp cartoon look to it, and it felt polished. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I played for a bit.
Polish. That's what I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Felt really polished.
It had that.
So that's Dicey Dungeons.
Yeah, it's by Terry Cavanaugh, who did VVVVV. I don't know
how
many
V's it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the music
how many
is
V's is it?
Several.
That'd be a fun poll. See if anyone knows.
I think it's 5.
It's more than 5.
Maybe it's
like 50.
I want to say 7.
Oh.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But, anyway. Also, Dicey Dungeons has music by Chipsel, if you're into chiptunes.
Nice.
Chipsel is a cool artist.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I don't typically like dice games, but I really got into that. Dice games being like you roll and then like keep some dice and choose which one you roll. And trying to it was like that. But it worked really well. A lot of it was the graphics and presentation. Just
top-notch presentation.
Top-notch.
So last one I've got is Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. This is a game by a friend of mine. He's a regional developer. He lives in Bloomington, Indiana. Partnership between him and musician Ellie. So it's Ian and Ellie is the name of their collaborative.
Oh, that's perfect because that's their names.
Yeah.
Right. That worked out really well.
Sorry. It's great when that works out. And this is a game about stacking objects. I would say cubes, but it's not always cubes.
It is not always cubes.
It's often other things like fish tanks and busts of the Egyptian goddess Nefertiti and and answers to trivia questions. It's a little hard to qualify the game or to categorize the game, I guess. At its base level, it's a little bit like 3D Tetris in that you're stacking things on top of other things, and it's physics-based. Things will fall over if you don't stack them.
Sure, yeah.
But there's so much else to it. There's an overworld with different levels and different environments.
Yep.
Plus a ton of variety in what you're stacking, and also the effects that happen when you stack. Like there's a game show mode where a game show announcer shows up and asks you a question, and the block that's falling, you can rotate it to select your answer before it falls, and you get bonuses or not.
Yeah. I mean, I guess probably the best way to describe it is what you just said. Like, that's the base game.
Yeah.
And then it's just filled with countless modifiers and weird stuff thrown in to make it interesting. And it does that very well. It also is a little bit like, I think it was called Blocks? There was this Nintendo Wii game or something like that.
George Lucas game?
Yeah, the one that like George Lucas made where you stacked blocks or just knocked them down. I'm not 100% sure.
Knocked them down.
Okay, but it reminded me of that. Well, mine fell a lot, so maybe that's why it was constantly reminding me of that. But it was. The physics is a big part of, I think, the game's fun. Is that you're stacking them, trying to get the highest tower often.
Yeah,
and it has a Versa mode. It has
the local or the competitive mode where you're playing with another player, which is kind of nice multiplayer.
Yeah.
But it's been in development for something like 4 years, and I think it's coming out. They're saying that this summer, it might be a little bit later, it might be this fall, at least for PC, and later on down the road, we'll see. Developers said they were going to see about other platforms, whether it be consoles or mobile or whatever.
Which I'm hoping for, because that's the only way I get to play it.
Right.
But
I think they're at least talking about PS4.
Next, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's the only one I do care about.
Yeah.
I got to meet the developer. Talked to them briefly, told them that you sent me. A little confused, but then they remembered. The man in the yellow hat was very, very nice. They were all very, very nice. I love that game.
Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah.
So that's Stacks on Stacks, parentheses on Stacks.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Guys, is that it?
That's it. We're done.
We just do and Justin has left. So that's the you can see him now. I can't make up things. This is one of those video ones. Oops. Anyway, that's it. That is it. Hey, what a PAX!
What a PAX!
I give this PAX 4 PAXes. 4 PAXes total. This gets 4 PAXes.
If it was an actress that was in an X-Men movie, it would be Anna Paquin.
Oh,
and if it was a gaming event starring Vin Diesel, it would be triple PAX.
and if it was a 1980s video game, it would be PAX Man.
No.
You suck, both of you. Hey, thanks for listening. Truly appreciate it.
listening, watching. Thanks for watching, too.
Yeah. Oh, for watching. That's also a thing you did this time.
Because honestly, watching is way harder than listening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I'm so sorry.
So remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All that stuff. Do all the social media stuff. And bye.
Wait, isn't this episode 151?